There are no alternatives to the language we use during this episode of Bewitched Banter. You have been warned. Content is not suitable for all listeners. Welcome. You're listening to Bewitched Banter.
Hello, it's Krista here, and today it's just going to be myself and my medical doctor sister. Super excited for this bonus episode. Amy and I have been chatting about having our very first expert, who happens to be, again, my dear sister, who's a medical doctor and badass OBGYN. So without further ado, please welcome my sister, Dr. Erica Hinz. All right, so Dr. Sis up in the house.
Dr. E. Hizzle for shizzle.
And
that's your servizzle.
Oh no, we were trying to go back to the 2000s. Like, no, we don't do that anymore.
Not anymore.
Anyway, it's an honor. I know I literally talk about my sister. She's here in the flesh right now, guys. You know about her. She's an MD, badass OBGYN, killing it for bringing babies in the world and saving our vaginas from mankind.
Saving one vagina at a time.
But as she is a medical doctor, I thought it'd be rad to have her on and ask her what the hell this is alternative medicine shit is all about. So,
my favorite topic.
Why don't you give our listeners, from a medical doctor's perspective, what you consider, or what you, even as a person, like what do you consider alternative medicine?
I think it's different for different people, but generally speaking, it's anything that hasn't gone through the established medical community through some sort of rigorous scientific background check, basically, before it goes out to the public.
Okay. Do you condone it?
That's a tough question. Yes and no.
Give me the yeses.
Probably because at any point, every drug was considered alternative, right? It's like it has to go through this scientific process in order for me to feel that it's valid to prescribe to my patients or to recommend to my patients.
Got it. So same kind of similar question, but like how do you see the Eastern versus Western medicine debate? And I'm pretty sure that's similar exactly, but like do medical professionals actually use those terms? What's the actual terminology used today? Because actually, I did have to fact check myself. In my history of this, I came across at the end of the day the word alternative is out and integrative is in. What's up with that?
So integrative is...
What's up with that? Ooh-wee.
What's
up with that?
Another reference back in the day. Was that
Keenan?
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, no, but he did it on SNL. But it's Keenan from obviously Keenan and Kel.
Okay,
anyway.
Sorry. Digression. What was the question?
So like when I was doing my research, I came across that alternative is out. The use of the word alternative is out, whereas integrative or complementary medicine is in. Is that, I'm fact checking myself here. Is that right in the medical community?
For the most part, it's still, the term alternative medicine still kind of lingers around and everybody knows what that is. But yeah, a lot of people are trying to move away from alternative medicine because they felt that it had a stigma or something attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the language has changed a bit, but all three, I would say, are pretty equally seen by the establishment medical community as not necessarily as good as some of the medications we've had around for a long time.
For sure.
For treatment.
For sure. Side note, you guys, I just did my classic, like, sound that Amy and I have to cut perpetually. It takes painstaking hours to cut our podcast.
And also, I grew up with that noise, and it's traumatic for me, so I wouldn't be able to.
Tell them what you called me at the dinner table.
Oh my gosh, just chomping cow all the time across from me, going. And then my dad had like a lower range chomping cow situation going on.
Lower range my ass. Dad was the cow.
Well, Dad was like the old grumpy man cow. He's more like. And then, okay,
Mama Doc digress again. But anyway,
I swear I am a doctor.
We're talking about alternative medicine today, and we actually again have our very first expert, legitimized expert. So let's not waste her time.
Time is money, y'all. Time is money.
Even though I've been wasting time with bullshit ass medical questions my entire life before she was even a doctor.
Can I have another quick side note?
Yes, please.
So,
oh God,
being a gynecologist in the age of COVID is really interesting because people are crazy with showing their parts on any sort of, technological thing where it's like, yo, I'm zooming vaginas during the pandemic. This is so weird. And people are not shy. Like, they're not shy at all.
I can't even. Oh my
anyway,
God.
That was a very much a side note, and I think would maybe classify as alternative medicine. I'm not sure.
Certainly are an alternative modality.
Alternative modality, that is for sure.
I know you have a good friend of yours from med school and one of mine, Mel. She is it's called a physiatrist. Is that right?
Physiatrist, yes.
And that is more, correct me if I'm wrong, but more leaning towards quote unquote alternative, naturopathic routes, right?
It has a tendency to lean more that way, but they also go through the same training process as any physician does and have a pretty rigorous residency training program afterwards. But it's a lot more to do with the physical manipulation of muscles, nerves, bones, all the connective tissue so that you can try those modalities over pills or medications.
Okay, great segue into a really tough one. We know the system's so fucked and we talk about it all the time.
So fucked.
Tell me, from an insider's perspective, tell our listeners what you see as not being covered that would be like quote unquote alternative medicine, even though there's be no harm to treatment or patient if they did that.
Massage therapy for sure is the biggest one that I can think of. Acupuncture.
Oh, I told a story that I did it before your wedding because I was so stressed.
Yeah,
and I was
that has actually been studied in rigorous scientific journals and published. And so,
although you listen, y'all, my doctor was, I'm not gonna lie, stereotypical quack. He was real kooky, but it worked. My vertigo went away. Placebo or not, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that placebo thing is real. Hey, placebo is actually real.
But back to the system and how fucked it is, and why they want us to think alternative medicine's bad.
That's a great question. I don't really know why the healthcare system would want it to. I guess because it's expensive and they don't want to cover people. So, for example, Medicaid and the insurers that typically cover people who have lower incomes won't cover anything that's seen as a frilly type thing, I guess you could say, or an extra added elective benefit above and beyond what's necessary just to keep you alive. But all this other stuff helps you stay alive and thrive, I think, in my personal opinion. But that doesn't mean there aren't people out there who are taking advantage of that crowd of people who's looking for something natural outside of the establishment.
Listen, Amy and I talk about this all the time. Our podcast has literally become calling out people that take advantage of other people. Yeah. Whatever the way or reason, money, monetarily, physically, whatever type of abuse. So literally our podcast has become about people that are assholes. So
there's a lot out there. So that's lots to cover. So understandably.
We were talking about vaginas at one point.
Oh yeah. And that's my everyday. So it's
I want to get back to that real quick because I know, and this ties to alternative medicine, I swear. Tell our listeners about how you have mentioned in the past some patients when it comes to natural births and home births and midwives.
Oh, yes.
Those gals.
Let me tell you about how I know when a patient walks in that I'm going to have a rough day. Let me tell you. So we had a patient once who had a no joke 32-page bullet point listed birth plan. I mean, we're talking cannot use specific types of words in order to not trigger pain. So I can't say the word contraction. I have to say the word wave.
Oh,
that's just an example. And so, yeah, that when you see it laminated with bullet points on it, you know it's going to be a bad shift because inevitably, and people have actually, one of our residents actually looked into this and looked at the correlation between someone who comes in with a birth plan and birth outcomes, and those that have a birth plan tend to have worse outcomes. I don't know why or what that could be from. It's not
because
causal.
They're trying to control shit they can't control.
Probably that's what it is. And labor and delivery, let me tell you, is mostly great, but when it's not and shit hits the fan, you better want a well-trained obstetrician there to handle that mess. So that's all I can say.
Okay, random squirrel train of thought. What the fuck about the shows I didn't know I was pregnant?
Oh my God.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. For real, it's a thing.
Have you seen patients like that?
Mm-hmm. I had a lady come in.
Can I ask how? Are they obese?
Well, there's people who really just don't know, and then there's those who are just straight up denial. That's probably the more common one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm baffled.
That's a whole nother episode.
Thing.
Yes.
Have you ever, I mean, I know you're into yoga and you always have been athletic and fit. Have you ever prescribed or recommended any type of like alternative care on top of what you would medically treat?
Yeah, acupuncture is one of the ones that I recommended. I think for me, and this is just my personal opinion, as long as I see that it has been shown and proven in some way to be beneficial and there's no harm, then I'm all for it. It's what I get upset about is stuff that has all these claims to help or benefit you, but haven't proven it yet.
Oh, listen. So the guy I covered was Jim Baker. Are you familiar with this scandal?
Tell me the scandal.
So first of all, he was number one for you. He was a televangelist in the 70s. So there's your first
creepy.
trigger. But anyway, he got indicted for that shit for fraud or something. And then literally just in 2020, A's a Trumpster. And then when COVID would be right before we even really knew how bad it was or what the hell it was, he prescribed colloidal silver.
Oh, yes.
That guy.
Yes, that
And there was
guy.
many of them. He was just the one I covered. But yeah, that type of shit. Like, how does that get past the medical people? Like, I don't know. I just don't understand.
I don't know. I mean, you can... Listen, it takes a lot of work and time and dedication to become a doctor, but...
Preach.
Yes. And we are different than nurses. Not saying that nurses aren't. This is my rant. And you
Get
can
on
cut
it.
this.
Get
And you
it.
can cut this. Tell them why you're mad. I love my nurses that I work with, but
Dr. Erica from Danbury Reed telling us why she mad.
Just because I'm a woman and I look a little bit younger than I maybe stated doesn't mean that I'm not a doctor. Okay? And it doesn't mean I didn't work for fucking 12 to 16 years to get to where I am. So
now
when
we're
I
back
walk
in Long Island. I love it.
Now, when I walk in my scrubs and my white coat that says Dr. Erica Hinds, MD, MPH, that means I am not your physical therapist. I am not the janitor cleaning your room. I am your doctor. Thank you very much.
Preach.
And rant.
Snaps.
End it.
Snaps. Let's see. So, I mean, this is just such a crazy world and time. And like, speaking of anti-vaxxers, right? Because they're kind of the ones that are going against the grain of alternative because it's their body, their choice. Bullshit. You being an OB-GYN, like, our body, our choice then when it comes to that. We're not on that topic today because that's a whole nother can of worms. That will take us all damn night and weekend. Where was I going with this? I was going to ask about the anti-vaxxers and alternative medicine and how, like, why and how did that happen? Aside from the media, God knows you didn't all go on another rant about that.
Right,
but
right.
like,
I don't know. I see two different crowds of anti-vaxxers, like generally speaking. One being those that have legitimate fear of government. So there's the folks that hate. Well, no, actually, now there's three groups. Now that you mention it, so there's people who I think that have the vaccine hesitancy that are from communities that have been marginalized and actually used in inappropriate ways to test vaccine. Well, probably not vaccines, but the birth control pill, for example, have legit reasons why people of color specifically would not trust the community. And it's not just that. There's just like systemic racism everywhere in our hospitals, especially in academic medicine. But again, that's a whole nother
and in the cities you work.
And in the cities that we work. Exactly.
You especially.
Yeah.
I mean, she did Philly, New York, and Chicago. She's seen some shit.
People, the folks that I work with and take care of, when I ask them why, they legitimately say, I just don't trust the government to have my best interest, or I don't trust people to be doing this for the right reasons. And honestly, I have no answer to that other than you got to listen to somebody from your community that you trust. The other crowd is the like more California, really rich, wealthy crowd, which are more about alternative medicines. Like, for example, what's her face that does the goop stuff? Oh
God, Gwyneth Paltrow. Actually, me and Ames discussed covering her as a episode one day because this shit is whack. It's really anyway, she on our topic list. So Gwyneth, I don't get you.
I don't understand that. Like, I just don't get that. They're into more of a hippie kind of like, we don't want anything that's toxic for our bodies and all of that stuff. But I don't know where that sense comes from. Like, I don't get it. Like, the other group I think has more reasons, but I think there's actual history there that makes it more understandable why they might not want that. But
sure.
I don't know, this other crowd that just doesn't want to do it because they don't want to be told to do something, or because they're so elitist that they think the elitist crowd that is just like, well, I'm better than what the government can give me, or I don't trust anybody except for myself because I'm just too good. I don't know.
No, well, literally, our cousin got in almost an argument yesterday on FaceTime, and I was like, dude, like, I was like, well, I said something about why the fuck aren't you vaccinated? And he's like, well, you can still give it to other people when you are vaccinated, right? And I go, I don't think that's accurate, but I'm gonna not talk about it on Thanksgiving. I'm just not gonna do it.
Zoom while we're like running around.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, nah. It's just it's like trying to reach somebody who's unreachable. That crowd. It's just the more you push them, the more they're gonna push right back. So that's not the people I try to convince or talk to about vaccines usually. Yeah, the anti-vax crowd, it's so hard, right? Because I want to treat everybody equally, and I do try very hard, but I have to check my bias when I hear someone come in that's sick with COVID and they didn't get a vaccine.
Oh, how do you do that? I commend. I just like the Hippocratic Oath, man.
Yeah.
God, y'all are the closest thing we have as saints on this planet. And I don't say that with hyperbole. Like, truly, like, we should all thank a doctor a day. I mean, swear to God.
Thank you. That means so much, because I feel that a lot of us feel after COVID, it's been rough. Like, they just expect all this stuff of us and like think that we're robots and just kind of can go with no sort of, I don't know, emotional toll on us too, that we've been through. It's been a rough 2 years. It's been crazy.
Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners on alternative medicine or natural medicine, healing?
I am not against it. I don't want that to be the takeaway point. That is not what I'm trying to say. There are definitely methods, modalities, medications, herbs, spices, whatever that could have benefits. But from a medical doctor's perspective, it is best to prove that through rigorous scientific method. That's all I'm trying to say. So if you think that, I don't know, for example, Cool Whip in your hair is going to make it longer and better and stronger, then fine, set up a randomized controlled trial and show it and prove it. And then sure, I'll prescribe that to my patients. Yeah, I'm not against it. I think there's lots of really good alternative therapies out there. I think massage is definitely one of them. Acupuncture are just the ones that come to mind, but plenty of other things that could have benefit and little harm, low risk, low cost. Give it a try and prove that it works, and then we'll be more accepting. Also, I have some stories for you.
Okay, let's go for it.
This is just a little bonus track.
Bonus, because this interview bonus.
Oh, bonus. So
boner.
Just because this is completely anonymized and no one's ever going to know who these patients are, but people do some weird things with their vaginas.
And dicks.
Right.
And
but I don't see those on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Or the aftermath. So
right.
It is vaginal steaming, which could be considered an alternative.
Wait, I'm sorry. What is that now?
Vaginal steaming. Yeah. Patients have come in after or before and asked my opinion on vaginal steaming.
Wait, what? Okay, you gotta explain.
You steam, you put basically
a tube?
A boiling pot. No, just kidding. Something that steams near the vagina. No, there's like places where you go. Like, they have setups for this. There's actual legitimate places that have vaginal steaming services. I had a patient call the other day, specifically made an appointment to ask if she could steam her vagina with an IUD in place. And I was like, actually, ma'am, I don't know, because it's never been studied. So my point being, how can I tell you if it's never been looked at before? To me, it does not seem like a good idea from a logical sense. I don't understand why you want to steam your vagina anyways. Ladies, if you're listening, don't put weird shit in your vagina. Like,
also, don't douche, right?
Don't douche. Just let it be natural. Like, let the water flow over it. Just plain unscented Dove soap. You're good. It's fine. And stop apologizing about your unshaven legs and vagina or vulva when you come to the office. It's okay.
She's seen some shit.
Seen some shit.
All right, wait. Last story that you gotta share with everyone in the spirit of holiday season.
Can you give me a little intro with a song? This story will bring so much joy to some people out there. I hope. Maybe it's just you and I who think it's funny. But no, my whole hospital thought it was funny.
This is hysterical.
Set the stage. We are in my intern year.
Jingle bell, jingle Okay, intern.
Okay. So intern, for those who don't know, is your first year of residency, which is basically, we're called like the turns. Like it's kind of a derogatory term. You work your ass off. You don't sleep. There's not much joy in that year other than just, getting through it. I'm on call an overshift night on the gynecology service. We get a consult from the ER saying, we need to consult gynecology because there's a foreign body in this woman's vagina. We're like, okay, let me take a look at the x-rays. Because I was like, what kind of,
an alien.
Like what kind of, this is meanwhile my first, I think it was like September. So I'm only like 3 months into my internship. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, it's foreign body. I can do this, guys. Like I can go down there. I'm going to get the good history and the physical. And I'm going to do a really good job and prove to my seniors that I can remove a foreign body from the vagina because I'm a gynecologist, a budding gynecologist, right? And so I go to the ER resident who, looking back, was probably also an intern and was he just starts laughing. He's like, you just got to take a look at the x-rays. So I pull up the x-rays and I'm scanning like, okay, here's the normal hip bone. Here's the bone. Here's the bone. And then all of a sudden, what do I see? But 6. Yeah.
6? Yes, you're hearing it right.
Fucking jingle bells. There was 6 jingle bells in this woman's vagina. That in and of itself should have been enough, right? Like why? I don't understand. I just don't get it. I go down there like the good little intern that I was, put on my little white coat, and I go down to the ER. It was busy as hell. She was in the hallway, running around, bouncing back and forth, saying, I'm pregnant with Obama's baby. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, you're going to have to go back into your bed. I need to talk to you. I need to get your history and like do a physical exam. So no one told me that this lady was floridly psychotic. Like she was not mentally well. Obviously, there was 6 jingle bells up there. Literally walking in, she says, can't you hear the babies crying? They're inside me. They're inside me. And when she would walk, this is what you would hear. I am not joking, you people. And so I thought I was in some sort of like sleep deprived, crazy ass dream state. Like I didn't understand this at all. But yeah, so it turns out when I finally got, like they had to give her some medications to calm her down and get her back to a better mental status. When I finally got her history, it turns out that those puppies had been there for a real long time. This was in like...
This part is the worst for me, guys.
September
Brace yourselves,
or something.
squeamish ones like me out there.
It's pretty nasty. So...
Oh God, I gotta plug my ears.
I'm gonna spare you all the details on how things smelled.
Okay.
But let's just say we could not remove them without going to the operating room because it had been over 6 years since they had been inside.
Holy shit.
After doing some digging and figuring out, literally doing some digging.
Oh my God.
Anyway, yeah, so that's the story of the jingle bells. Merry Christmas, y'all. And to all, good night.
And that's a wrap on alternative medicine with my medical doctor sister. Peace be witches. Quick disclaimer before we let you go. While she is a board-certified physician, all of Dr. E's comments are her personal opinions and do not represent the university where she practices or teaches medicine. For any medical concerns specific to you, please consult your physician.
Thanks for listening. Please rate and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Check us out on Instagram or bewitchedbanter.com. Suggestions for the show? Email us at bewitchedbanter@gmail.com. Credits, music, Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcast edited and produced by Krista Hinz and Amy Holt.